What's poppin'? What's poppin'? How we all doing? Okay, so you've seen the title already. I'm going to be talking about Seth's matchups to round off season 4. I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, what do you mean Seth's matchup? Seth wins every matchup, whatever." That's not the case. That's not the case. And anybody with a brain can tell you that Seth actually has some losing matchups, whether they want to believe it or not. As someone who's main Seth pretty much since they dropped, I've pretty much been going through every matchup, and matchups that Seth loses more than people actually think, and the matchups that Seth wins. Again, I'm not the best Seth or anything like that, but I like to think that I have a decent understanding of the character. What we're going to do is we're going to jump right into this. And this is what we have right here. So, categories right here. 6-4 in Seth's favor. 5.5 even. 4.5. 4-6 is Seth loses. And there's actually a 3-7, 7-3 matchup. Alright, start off, Abigail. I used to think this was a 4-6 matchup. It's still rough as fuck, but I think it's a bit more manageable with V-Skill 1, even though it is maybe. I'm still torn between these two, simply because good Abigails don't have to do anything. They can literally just sit there and like use Abigail's normals in order to keep Seth out, and not to mention he can actually deal with axe kick and jump pressure very well. Jiggy, hey, what's poppin'? How you doing? You know what? I'm gonna keep it 4-6 Seth, because again, good Abigails don't have to do anything in order to actually win. Seth actually has to make all the risks. Abigail doesn't have to do anything. Not to mention EX run is a cheat code. So that's the first one. Alex. This is gonna seem controversial for people, but I think this is slightly edging in Alex's favor too. Sure, he's a terrible character, but Alex does the same thing that kind of Abigail does, just not on the same scale, but he can still kind of keep Seth out. As crazy as that sounds, on top of it, he can actually deal with axe kick pressure as well from mid-screen. If it's up close, it's a bit iffy, but I still think it's Alex's favor slightly. Possibly even, but I'm more leaning towards this side. Blanca is actually in Seth's favor. Seth can actually deal with a lot of Blanca's nonsense. V-Trigger too, obviously, when Blanca wants to get started, but he can't just go nuts, because Seth can actually punish everything that Blanca wants to do. Rainbow balls, he can actually DP from anywhere on the screen. You kind of have to be on point with it. Light Blanca ball can also be punished with V-Skill too. So this is in Seth's favor. Vegas will tell you that they lose this matchup, but I think it's even. Vega can keep Seth out with Claw. Again, the defense aspect is a thing, but like Seth kind of still has to take the risk, unless you want to go clawless, which is not really ideal, but I do think this is an even matchup. Next one is Birdie. This is easily a 6-4 matchup for Birdie. It's not even close. It's so bad. Possibly 7-3, but like it's still pretty bad. Birdie has armor. He can deal with axe kick, with crouching heavy punch. His buttons just outrange Seth. The buffers are ridiculous into Oki. It's nuts. Seth really can't do much. He has to play absolutely perfect. This is a really rough matchup for Seth. Seth wins 90% of matchups. I'm telling you, I don't understand. Seth wins 90% of the matchups. Are you kidding me? Have you played Seth? Have you actually played Seth? Because there are some matches where you're just like, what the fuck do I do? Balrog. This is a slight win for Rog. It's not absolutely terrible, but like good Rogs can wall out. There's a certain theme going on here with Seth that characters win against him. They can kind of wall out Seth from doing what he wants to do. Or she, if you want to call Seth she. Either or is fine. But again, these characters have good normals and ways to keep Seth out while minimizing the reward of axe kick when it's there. EX straight is a thing. V-Skill 2 for Rog is also a pain in the fucking ass to deal with as Seth. Sure, like he can't charge it for free on a knockdown because I can wake up V-Skill DP. But when he does get it going, it's like I can't do anything about it. I kind of have to just hope I can neutral jump it on a read, but even then, if I block it, I'm still negative. Who thought it was a good idea to give Rog a plus dash punch that you don't have to charge? That one doesn't make any sense to me. Cody, I think, is an even matchup, possibly Seth's favorite, but Cody has V-Skill 1 in order to deal with jumps with the axe kick and stuff like that, so it's not really a threat. But Seth can also use V-Skill 1 in order to stop like fireballs and zonks, buttons, because Cody is a really buttonsy character, and they both have really good V triggers that shit out damage. Like again, robbery with Cody with V-Trigger 2, Seth V-Trigger 1. It's they're both good, so they kind of even out. So this is an even matchup that can go either way. Cammy is also an even matchup, possibly her favorite slightly, but like because she bleeds when Seth does get a hit, it hurts. But Cammy is faster than Seth on the ground in terms of buttons, and she can just walk out of the ranges that Seth wants to be in, and then whiff punish with stand fierce, or just use annoying buttons like stand medium kick or crouch medium kick. Also has a dive kick that Seth has to worry about. Even though it's a DP, you still gonna have to react, and she can just fake it out and then make DP whiff. So Seth kind of has the same game plan and just shits out a bit more damage than Cammy does, so it evens out. So I think that matchup is even. Chun-Li, she wins slightly. Just slightly. I know Chuns are gonna say, like, oh, but I can't anti-air dive kick. You don't have to. You can block it to minimize it, and then your buttons, your Chun-Li with buttons. That's all you have to do. You can force Seth to take risk with using your fireballs and stuff like that. That's another thing that Seth actually kind of has to worry about. Sure, you have Tatsu, V-Trigger Tatsu. I think it's a born mid-favor of Chun personally. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's slightly Chun's favor. It's just, when Seth does get going, if I catch you in the corner, it kind of is a wrap, but at the same time, also got to worry about you busting out. Dhalsim, I kind of want to say it's even, but it's not. The matchup is still rough. It's definitely slight favor, but nowhere near as bad as these matchups here. No, it absolutely still is hard. I'm not gonna say it's not for Chun, but it's still slightly her favorite because again, she just dominates on the ground so hard that she has to force Seth to jump. If you get Seth to jump at a range where if he whiffs axe kick, you can punish with EX legs or even a sweep, or maybe just a crouch medium kick. Or if they jump and they don't do anything, you can actually anti-air. Then that's a plus for you. Ed, I think is slightly Seth's favor. Even as annoying Ed can be, a lot of his pressure is reliant on fake traps and stuff like that, and if you can navigate through that, then it's easier for Seth to deal with. I want to know what's funny. I think EX upper is too slow for Ed to deal with axe kick or light axe kick whiffs, so he can't really rely on it like that. The polar opposite of that is Falk here. I'll get to her in a sec, but like he can't really use his meter in order to deal with axe kick or jumps, so it's harder for him to deal with Seth. And Seth also has V skill 1 and 2 that he can use in both in these matchups. All right, Fong. I kind of want to say it's Fong's favorite, but I think it's mostly even. It's mostly even. As annoying as Fong can be with the zoning and whatnot, Seth can also deal with it with V skill 2. It can go back and forth. It's a really interesting and fun matchup. In my personal opinion, I like fighting Fong with Seth because it can literally go either way, and it forces me to actually have to think. There's a lot of interaction. Folks are not gonna like me for saying this, but this is a 6-4 matchup. This is a 6-4 matchup. It's not even close. Like, tell me what the fuck is Seth supposed to do with this matchup? Yeah, you can use V skill 1 in order to stop buttons from Falk, but like at the same time, she could also do jump mix-ups, whether her shots, she can just do the down kick, she can get a jump in, and Seth has to worry about all of that. Has no reliable way of dealing with that. And then on top of it, Falk can actually keep Seth out with from jumping. So yeah, that's an instant dub for Falk. G is slightly Seth's favor. If G didn't have V-Trigger 1, it would actually be a 6-4 matchup. But I think because it's V-Trigger 1, I know G doesn't have a reliable way of dealing with axe kick up close, but he still has better buttons. He can actually whiff punish very easily with his jab buffers and stuff like that. I'm gonna order these later. Akuma, this is one of the most even matchups in the game. Again, because they're both fucking top tier characters as shit. They both have answers for everything. Seth can deal with demon flips. Akuma can actually deal with axe kick. Fireballs can be neutralized by Seth, but also at the same time, Akuma can, fake out fireballs and stop Tatsus. Guile. This is slightly Guile's favor. It's not as terrible because Seth is still Seth in this sense, but like, the booms are kind of tough to deal with. He can just down back and wait for Seth to jump and just flash kick, but like Guile can't just sit back and charge. Even though he has to play lame, he still has to force Seth to do something. And if Seth is waiting for something like that, he can just walk forward and then force Guile to make mistakes, but then they run the risk of walking into booms and stuff like that. But it's still slightly Guile's favor. It's not terrible. Ibuki, I want to say it's even. I do. Actually, yeah. I think it's even. It's not like she has a ridiculous edge over Seth. It could possibly be Seth's favorite too. It's just Ibuki's annoying to deal with on the ground because again, she can just get away with things that are just not punishable, like stand roundhouse. I could deal with V skill 1 with a raw Tatsu. EX kunai, air kunai is a problem, but other than that, it's not really that bad. So I think it's even. Yeah. You know what? That's slightly Seth's favor. Jury, no. I just don't see. I don't see this being even. It's slightly Jury's favor. It's definitely just slightly Jury's favor. She can wall out. Her movement is really good. Sure, Seth has V skill 1, but like Jury's can walk out of range of V skill 1 very easily. Her fireball is actually really tough to deal with as Seth. No, I promise you, Jiggy. I promise you. Jury's that keep it moving or whatever. It's just the fact that she works really hard because she needs a lot more scenarios in order to actually get the dub. But at the same time, she can actually just keep Seth out. It's actually really crazy. I promise you. I'm not lying to you. I promise you. It's actually slightly her favor. Yeah, that's what I said. It's a very slight edge in her favor, but like it's nothing crazy. I kind of want to say Seth kind of edges out this matchup, but if something is telling me it's even. But I think this is the right spot. I think this is the right spot to put Ken in. He's not Ryu who has a parry, so he can just kind of stop Seth's shenanigans. But he's also very explosive, and when he gets in the corner, it's tough for anybody to deal with. Yeah, I think that's a Seth's favor. Kage. This matchup, I want to say even or slightly Seth's favor, even though how annoying. Actually, you know what? Yeah, it's even. Actually pushing it towards here, but it's rather even because surprisingly enough, Kage can actually mix up Seth with the jump air fireball and stuff like that, forcing Seth to it's the same kind of mind game with the jumps that Seth can do. He has an involved DP, so he can just anti-air if he needs to. Yeah, I think that's an even matchup. Colleen, she edges out this matchup. I think she does. It's not terrible, but she definitely edges it out. She can parry block strings. If Colleen's are aware of it, at least she can parry block strings. She can she can slightly zone with the icicles, but she can also get like just free pressure for nothing. Again, she can force Seth to guess and whatnot. It's a slight edge. It's nothing crazy. Possibly even, but like again, I think she slightly edges it out. Karine is an even matchup. She's actually very good on the ground against Seth, but again, she bleeds just like Seth, so it's like when she gets touched, it hurts, but she can whiff punish like crazy. All right, Laura. This is actually a 6-4 matchup for Seth. Seth can force Laura to not have to go into V-Trigger. Seth actually has an answer for pretty much like everything that Laura does. It's just Laura needs to get V-Trigger going in order to actually rob. If she didn't have V-Trigger, it would actually be like a 7-3 matchup. She couldn't do anything. Like she can't clap for free unless she's like practically full screen. And even then, if I see that clap coming, I can V-skill too. Slide on reaction against clap is a good thing. Having to deal with pressure is an issue for Seth at least, but even then you have a bust out, so you don't always have to hold pressure. Manat, yeah, this is a slight edge for Manat. Nakali slightly loses to Seth. It's not terrible because he still like kind of shits out damage when he's in V-Trigger. Once he gets V-Trigger and you know he wants to get into V-Trigger, he'll hold a V-bar for it. So Seth can outrange or just whiff punish his dummy normals and stuff like that. His block strings into the stomps can be backdashed out of, and Seth can get a whiff punish off of it. It's not a fun time for Nakali. Nash. It might be even, but I also think Nash kind of slightly edges it out. You know what? I'll make it even simply because he doesn't have defense. But like he can zone Seth. It's actually pretty tough. But yeah, I think it's even just because he has no defense. Our Mika, Seth slightly wins this. Again, it's more of a Mika's game plan is literally just to get in and then just mix. But she has to find a way to get in the first place, and Seth can do that pretty easily. Not as easily as Karine, but like it's still up there. Rashid is a even matchup. It's literally just who can stop the bullshit. Ryu, I want to call this even as well. Even like he has parries and stuff like that, but like it's nothing too substantial where like the matchup feels unwinnable or rough. Ryu is still Ryu at the end of the day. Sagat, y'all know my answer to this one. This is a 6-4 matchup for sure. This is a 6-4 matchup. If Sagat had Oki, it would actually be like 7-3, but Sagat actually can just fuck up Seth pretty badly. It's hard for Seth to deal with good fireball placement. They're forced to guess to jump over fireballs and then risk eating a DP or even a crush counter like stand roundhouse, and Seth definitely doesn't want to eat a crush counter roundhouse as an anti-air. Sakura, I want to say she edges out, but I think it's even as well. The issue is the walk speed. The issue is the walk speed on Sakura, but that's for any character. Seth can still fight on the ground with V skill 1. Urian, a slight edge up for Urian. He doesn't have to go nuts against Seth. He really doesn't. He can just like play defensive, throwing out his thunderballs. Kind of hard trying to check dashes in the lag. But all Urian does is go nuts. That's true. Even then, he could it's still hard for Seth to deal with, but I'd much rather Urians go nuts rather than actually play solid, because then that's when it becomes really, really tough. Solid Urians are actually really tough to deal with. M. Bison, again, this is a really rough matchup. More down here. He can fight on the ground really well. Seth can't really contest block strings because, again, they just set up whiff traps or space traps for Bison. I gotta focus on trying to get whiff punishes on the heavy buttons and stuff like that. Seth beats Zangief slightly. Nothing crazy. Once Zangief gets in, that's my fault, and then I just have to guess for my life. V-Shift is gonna change that. Zeku, kind of want to say edges out, but I think it's even. I think it's starting to become a really, really annoying matchup for me personally, but like I still think it's even. If Gil didn't have parry, this would be a 6-4 matchup, but it's like up here. Seth actually deals with Gil very well. I'll leave E Honda for a second. Lucia, I think, is 6-4 for Seth. It's rougher because Oliver trying to get in tools are all stopped by V-Skill 1, so it forces Lucia to want to jump, and then I can just anti-air. Even though the saying goes around, it's like if Seth is looking for fireballs and stuff like that, but even then it's like it's still kind of rough for Lucia because her neutral is so weak and she's only really strong in the corner. If you're anybody else who's not named Tay, it's gonna be rough for you to try to even get to the corner in the first place. Poison, it's not as bad as people think. This matchup is not as bad as people think. I think this is slightly in Poison's favor, but it's not 6-4. This matchup right here though, easily a 7-3 matchup. Fuck Honda. Fuck Honda. I'll keep saying it. Fuck Honda. This matchup is so rough for Seth. Seth can't do anything about it. Yeah, that's basically. Let me order this. That is not enough. And you know that the squad be tough. Better hold that fuss. I'ma call that bluff. Yeah. I'm good with this. This is my matchup chart for Seth. Lucia, I think, is Seth's best matchup, and then it goes Laura, Gil, like that. This is in order. Yeah. I think this is my season 4 definitive Seth matchup chart.